Whoa, we are back for some Bleach Soul Resonance, and the newest character to get raised is our GOAT Gin Ichimaru. We are now officially done, quote-unquote, with Gin's leveling process. By the time we finish off the last bit of odds and ends, so things like maybe getting him a level 30 stamp, things like maybe grabbing this right here, which we probably will just because this is so incidental. This essentially will cost 40 stamina and we will get this. It's one singular run in the hollow elimination thing, so grabbing that. But you can see his other things are raised. He cannot be raised otherwise other than getting to level 100, which I do not think he currently needs as a free-to-play player, because of course this is a lot of investment. So if you've been wondering what I've been doing these last few days, it's mostly just been using my stamina on Gin's kit. So we can see here I do not have any more nourishers used, right? But you can also see that, like, I haven't been exactly wasting my stamina either. We have gone up 2 levels, I think, since I last showed that screen. But yes, Gin is officially done. If you're wondering, well, what do you mean by done? I think 30,000 to 31,000 with weapon and unduped, so no boundary, no core stamp, no etc, is about where you should expect characters to land. If you're a free-to-play player, you're not using dupes, you're not getting boundaries, you're not getting core stamp dupes, you're not getting weapon dupes, etc. That means that this seems to be the limit, the upper limit of where free-to-play characters fall to me. I could be misremembering, or I could be misrepresenting this. I don't know completely. I don't have a stats board in front of me, but I'm trying to give people an easy visual guide to sort of follow there. 4,000 attack is where we're now at. You can see that we're getting a bonus 1,866. If you remember, before my attack was at 3,400. This has come as a change of grabbing myself a leveled up core stamp, of course, the leveled up actual weapon, and then his actual level 90 stats. So 4,000 is where we end up. Crit damage 129% with a crit rate of 31%. Remember, this is close. This is technically 32%, I guess, but remember, this is technically 50 or 47% because we do have his weapon, which does give him crit chance. Right here, it's unstackable, triggered 2 times after getting impaled, which is just so easy to do, obviously. So you essentially have a character who is always at around 46% crit chance, 47% crit chance. We also have an ailment damage bonus of 187%, technically closer to 188% if we round up, which is pretty nice as well. Remember that if you're building Gin, this is sort of a last bit of review and showcase of the character. This is a finished free-to-play Gin. Remember that you need over 150% ailment damage bonus to get the full possible max Gin. Someone actually asked me recently how much ailment bonus damage for Gin. I would say 150% minimum if you're going to use this bond effect, which you probably should be using, because 32% increased damage rather flat on his skill, or his technique rather, which is by far and away his strongest ability. I mean, consuming 3 technique points gets you up to 1840 at max level, while also inflicting that impale. Don't forget that if you don't yet have his core stamp, that complicated mood is an exceptional one for Gin, and you could easily make use of this and not really feel it. I've seen a lot of people on Discord and Twitter, or rather not Discord, but rather Twitter, already saying that you could replace his core stamp with this one and not actually notice at all. So maybe for some of you wondering, like, when the pity system comes out, which is going to be, it's going to be a day after I record this, but this video will go up in maybe a sort of odd order, so we won't know for sure. But you can see I'm saving my core stamps. But you can see Gin's is increases technique damage by 50%, which is very good. Ultimate damage by 75%, which is very good. Ailment damage by 20%. If the target already has a debuff, ailment damage dealt by Gin is increased by an extra 30%. So extremely powerful core stamp, right? I do think you want this overall for him. It's a very powerful one. But let's say you don't have Aizen's. You have Aizen and Gin. You don't have Aizen's or Gin's. I would actually suggest maybe grabbing Aizen's core stamp first, and then swinging back around and trying to pick up Gin's, because I do think Gin works perfectly fine without any sort of core stamp because of how very good this one is for him. That is just my vibes. So I don't know the numbers. I don't have the math in front of me. If you think that you need his core stamp so bad that he's going to be the first one you pity, go ahead. He'll probably be the one I pity first, just because, or not pity, but rate up first, just because I love Gin. I want him to be as maxed as possible. But if you're someone else who's like, you know, my Gin's doing his job, I don't want to kit this character out. I'd rather work on Yoruichi or Aizen or Toshido. Like, definitely understand that. I think that's reasonable, and you won't be missing out on much. As for the team we're going to go into the fight with, we're going to be using Gin, 3,100 essentially, but 30,000 power. Aizen, 30,000 power. And Kisei Yudahara, 29,000 power, closer to 30,000 than not. You can see that the difference between him is just not having this a level 30 course or level 30 stamp of any kind. But yeah, these are the characters. This is who I'm going in with. He is level 70. And then 290s. If you're wondering, like, why is 30,000 sort of my benchmark? Because Yoruichi here is 39,642. She could easily go up to 40,000 if I so wanted to by limit breaking her character here and going to level 30 stamps. But remember that if I do remove this stamp, which is kitted out, she goes down to 23,000. And if I were to replace it with a relatively equal sort of stamp of some sort, she would go to 28,000, right? So all smoke and mirrors eventually, right? All smoke and mirrors eventually. A character that is, if she was more free to play on my account, remember that I just got lucky with Yoruichi. This came during my standard banner, etc, etc. So yeah, let's get into the actual runs, and yeah, see you after that. So here we go, getting into some actual content. This is going to be the last batch of big content I think Gin is going to take on. Get the parry there really clean. I was feeling like, you know, I had woken up and done these runs, and I don't know what it was, but I was feeling like on the ball today. I was hitting parries, I was hitting, you know, switches, animation cancels with no problem at all. But this felt like a particularly clean set of runs, and we're just going to be picking through the meat, the carcass of the run here to finish off our tower. 14-2, 14-3, 15-2, and 15-3, all in sequential order. And yeah, I don't know. You guys can tell me. Am I tripping when I say that? Like, I mean, Echo Turn is beat off if I ain't tripping on it, but like, am I not like tearing through these runs? Like, this is crazy, no? Yeah, we are blasting, and Gin's damage is so absurd. And I would say that this is just like him done for me. There will be no more Gin raising after this. The next plan is to just get Rangiku done. That way I do not have to use Yudahara for every single piece of content in the game. Again, one of my main goals in this game, you've heard me say it several times, is to just sort of get my teams in such a way that Yudahara is not the bench of every single team that I have. But yeah, look at Gin just dice this dude up. This is such absurd damage. And we stop attacking him here. I actually do have a little bit of a fumble here. I missed the first parry, which is very funny. I guess all that talking about being really on today is CAP cap, because look at me dancing too. Look at this. This is biblical hubris right here. And then I just miss. That is so embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. But yeah, we get the next three here. It's not too hard. This is one of the big DPS checks, I'd say, of early fights for your account. If you've been following my free-to-play series up until now, you know that this was a big wall in the adventure mode for me. After Gin, I did go back and complete all of my remaining missions, my adventure, like 3 stars that I could. But yeah, for a little bit there, Tosin was quite a wall, because he does have that non-DPS check phase that just like burns your time. And while you will always sort of have just like this, like, you know, 1 2 3 period, and it's not like it's, you know, this unfathomable like DPS check where he's got damage reduction or something. Just having that little like 15-second break, that 20-second break where you cannot do damage when you're starting out is brutal for those early game accounts. But yeah, Gin doesn't care. I mean, I didn't even expect that to kill him. Am I like wrong for saying that? Like, goodness. Yeah, Geen's a monster. Okay, here is the fight where I was like, this is dicey. This is dicey for the enemy. This is no longer, we're playing at a level where the bosses can't do anything. Once I did this to the boss, I was like, oh, okay, the run is over and we're gonna go for 15-3. I had not attempted 15-3 before this. These are both my first like impressions of 14-3 and 15-3 in the thrust tower. So yeah, man, it got, oh my god, it got so bad. It's getting so bad for him. No, is it not just getting so bad for the GOAT? Like, god. One thing I wanted to talk about during this video, just so you know, we have some yaps in between, is what was it? It was something to do with people talking about like stamina, and I wanted to ask about like your stamina. How's your stamina feeling? Because I would say that stamina is kind of where it needs to be right now. I would like more nourishers, but I don't think they should change the system. And I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but we aren't really in this space where, you know, Bleach Soul Resonance can sort of go forever, because we are in the first 2 months of the game's lifespan, right? Like, I think people are sort of like impatient because the game's so fun. They just want to, you know, make more characters, do more builds, farm more things. But when you actually think about it, like, how could they actually give out stamina and keep people logging on, like, actively? Just because, like, we're so... Bleach Soul Resonance is a game that feels so fun and so unique and so, like, addictive to just play. Not to, like, oh, I want to gamble and I want to pull on it, but, like, the playing of this game, the pressing buttons in this game is so fun that I think a lot of people are just like, man, I just want to play more. And that's the mark of, like, a god, we are crushing him. That's the mark of a game that is, like, actually like a game. You know, as someone who's been playing Dokkan for coming on 3 years, there are times in Dokkan where I'm like, I'm just doing my dailies. I'm not getting on there. And there's nothing the game can really do to stop that, just because it's like the type of game that it is. Whereas I feel like Bleach Soul Resonance, I get on every single day and I'm like, man, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Such a cool looking and cool feeling game. I do think they really cornered the action RPG market with this one. Like, no glaze, no like, oh my god, you know, best game ever uncontested or anything, but like, it is really fun to press buttons in this game. And I say that as someone who was playing Zenless Zone Zero at the very start. I was playing it at the very start, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with the gacha that, you know, even this one is sort of mimicking with like the slowdown dashes and all that. Like, I get it, but man, Bleach Soul Resonance feels above and beyond in that regard. So here we go to 15-2, by the way. I cut right to 15-2, and yeah, it's just another one where, oh, look at that. We are on, man. We are on. We are not missing these. And it feels really good. Again, it just feels really good to, like, hit in this game. Like, it's great feedback. So some people who might have joined recently, I talk about this in the Dokkan videos, but I'm natively, like, a fighting game player. I love fighting games. Fighting games are my true love when it comes to video games. And though I wouldn't say, you know, I wouldn't go as far as to say, like, oh my god, it's like playing a fighting game or anything. In fighting games, you want some good feedback when you press buttons, and I do feel like Bleach Soul Resonance has good feedback. And this is coming from, like I said, a fighting game player, where having good feedback when you press a button is one of the most important things that you can have in those games, right? When you press heavy kick, you want it to feel like a heavy kick. You don't want it to feel like, you know, wacky insano brawlers, you know, punchy mix. You want it to actually feel like, that's such a weird counter right there. I don't know how I missed the parry there, but yeah, you want it to actually feel like you're heavy kicking someone. You want it to feel like you're heavy punching someone. You know, you don't want it to feel like flaccid and sort of lame. But yeah, we apparently cut straight through that guy and go right into Renji. I didn't even see bro come out. Like, where did bro even pop out from? Parry there, not happening. We get the technique, or we get the counter into the technique. Look at that damage. So insane. I said it before, man. Echo, turn his beat off if I'm not tripping on it. Like, what is happening to his HP? It is so nuts. Geen. Yeah, Geen is above and beyond. Genuinely. Geen is above and beyond. He feels he feels every bit as strong as I think we sort of suspected just seeing his kit. Yeah, wow, look at that ailment damage. Just take out a bar and a half from the Impale proc. He feels every bit as strong as I think we all sort of suspected. Like, I don't know. It's almost surprising that they would make a character as strong as Gin this fast in terms of like a main DPS, because like Aizen makes sense. I don't think any of us are surprised that like Aizen is really good, right? He's Aizen, he's Gogeta. I make that reference all the time, but he's Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. He's a button you press when you want to make money. But I sort of expected the main DPS units to sort of be kept in line. But if Gin was going to be this strong, I almost sort of wish that like Toshido and Bankai Ichigo were stronger, because I feel like theirs is I feel like Gin's is effortless. Am I crazy for saying that? The more I play with Gin as a free-to-play player, the more I'm like, are they even comparable to him? You know, it's a question. It's a question. It's not a certainty. But yeah, I am really, God, look at him. Ugh, what a guy. Hitting that third technique and just obliterating the enemy feels chef's kiss, dude. Chef's kiss. And we're coming up on the final fight here. 15-3, and tell me if this actually looks like 15-3 to you. Like, does this not look like nothing? We just obliterate him, like I said. Like, this is dust to dust, man. This is ashes to fucking ashes. One thing I've noticed with Gin, by the way, is that if you aren't careful, you can actually miss him in the air. Gin does have a lot of moments where if you mess up in that range, you will actually miss the stab through that he does at the end of his Technique 3. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Gin being this good makes me wonder who I will inevitably get during the rate up core stamp. I am holding a hidden, you know, a 6-star or 5-star guarantee. I showed that before. I am going to be expecting my weekly soon, so we'll see that as well. And hopefully we'll get another, but Gin is definitely the one just because I love him, man. He's my favorite. He's my favorite character that's in the game so far. I cannot wait for them to add Kenpachi. I hope he's similar to Gin. I hope he feels this effortless. I hope he feels this, like, I don't know, just this inevitable, man. Gin feels absolutely inevitable. The fact that his support literally isn't even in the game yet, his Rangiku isn't in the game yet, is so insane. I mean, look at what is happening to Urahara. 2 minutes left and we're almost done. Like 2 minutes left and we're almost done with 15-3. And again, I don't think this is like the thing where it's like, oh, you know, well, you've got a Urahara with core stamp, you've got Aizen, like this is Gin. Look at this. Look at that damage. 4 bars from that sequence? Like, what? We're at the 2 minute mark now. We're at 2 minutes and like 3 seconds when I first pointed out. Like, is he not a monster? And looks like we're finishing up here, so I mean, yeah, that's Gin. We'll go into the post-mortem here, but you know, with all that being said, if you're not convinced, I don't know what Gin needs to do to convince you, is essentially how I feel. But let's get into that post-mortem. Can we see a damage screen real quick just for a second? There you go. Be back. And yeah, that's gonna do it, right? I think that's it. That's pretty decisive. We could go back in just to check, but that is trial 15 done. 14 and 15 relatively easy. If you watch this video and you like have a Gin that is even close to this, remember that Aizen and Urahara are only providing supplementary buffs and debuffs to him. They were not doing damage much at all, and I do think we had enough time for Gin to make up any sort of disparaging or any lowered amounts of damage, right? So if your Kisuke Urahara's crit damage isn't that high and his ultimate recharge rate isn't that high, I do think Gin had enough time just slicing through the opponents, and if you have a similar Gin to mine, you should be able to take on 15-3 with relative ease. I mean, that looked breezy. That looked really, really easy. Am I mistaken? Like, that looked free. So yeah, that's Gin. Best DPS in the game, bar none. I don't really even think it's close. No core stamp yet. Maybe I won't get his core stamp because he seems to just not need it. But we'll have to see on that in that regard. Like, my goodness, just blitz through the content. I think if they added a few more tower stages, I'd be surprised if it could stop my current Geen still. You know what I mean? Pre any sort of core stamp or anything. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. With all that being said, like if you liked the video, subscribe to the club. We all go make it, and peace.